Shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahushai Baraka Thumb to the brothers. Yahweh Shamar Ilatha by Shem Yahushai to the sisters. Bear with me. I am priest and officer Gabaramath, ISUPK Connecticut. We are ISUPK. So out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana since 1969. We've been teaching the so-called blacks, so-called Hispanic, so-called Native Indians, their true culture and heritage as it pertains, most importantly, to the Bible, to true history and archaeology, untethered or not messed with, all right? Not lied about. And since 1969, we've been also teaching that the oppressor, which is the oppressor of this world, the oppressor that is so common no matter where you go on the planet, we've been teaching that the oppressor is the devil, which means deceiver, that the Bible speaks of. All right, just bear with me while I put a few things into the chat on both platforms. Salakia. So bear with me. If you are seeking counsel, if you're in need of counsel, if you have any questions, all right, and you live in Connecticut, all right, dial 203-548-0040. Also dial that if you want to get in touch with the school and you live in Connecticut, okay? Again, that number is 203-548-0040. If you're not in Connecticut and you're looking for a school to ask questions to whatever it might be, you want to debate or whatever the case is, you are going through something in your life, you need some assistance on how to deal with it biblically, you want to ask questions about study materials, again, you go on isupk.com, isupk.com, all right? And you find the number of the school nearest you, and you talk to that brother who answers the phone. If you don't get an answer to your call right away, just like you would anything else, call back until you get someone. All right? Don't give up. In the chat, I'm putting the attendance sheet. Remember that if you are in class, you want to be counted. So it's best that you sign in. And it's best you sign in 2 different ways. You sign into the chat. You put in, with the city and state that you're participating from. And you also sign on to the attendance link, which is a Google document. All right. All right. So that's done. And again, please bear with me. Bear with me, Baba Kasha. I'm going to put 2 more links in because I don't think those links will take that are in there now. Let me see. Let me try it this way. And again, Salakia. Let's try this one. No, still doesn't have it. Laba, are you able to send on to those links for the attendance? Again, please bear with me. Almost there. Salakia, you say again? Just check the links and see if they're working for the attendance sheet. Say again? So you can't see the chat?
I can see the chat. I can't see the link. I can see you, but the link is nothing there.
So in the chat, what's there?
On YouTube, welcome to live. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy.
Bring your phone here for me. Let me just see what you're seeing, okay? Because on my end, even in my phone, everything was right. I can see both. That's peculiar. No, just let me see it. Just let me see it. Oh, you can't see anything. Oh, that's interesting.
No, Facebook.
Huh. No, that showed up here. It showed up, but you're not seeing any chat. I wonder why that is. Tap chat, live chat, top chat. Yeah, you're not seeing it. Oh, I wonder. Salakia, Earl Cannon Bear. Shalom, brother. Abari Scott. Shalom. All right, I'll figure that out another time. Shalom to you who are watching. Again, I am Priest and Officer Gabar Amath, ISUPK, Connecticut. We'll get started. The pastor was wrong. Color is in the Bible. Why is the title saying that? Because the pastor, Pastor Porkchop, Reverend Run, has been lying to our people. And who are our people? The Black, the Hispanic, the Native Indian, so-called. Called by who? The oppressor. We've been lied to. We're told that color doesn't matter, that we're focusing on something that is ridiculous and we should all come together, and so on and so forth, all right? And what makes that egregious is that the Bible doesn't change, man. The Lord doesn't change. Christ does not change. All right. It was important enough to put it in the Bible. And tonight I want to show you some of those scriptures that actually have color in them. All right. So let's get started. Let's go to Daniel 7 and 9. The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 9. Why is color so important? Color is important for a couple reasons. Because the truth is important. That's the main reason, right? Truth is important. We don't want to do things that are untrue. We don't want to focus on things or have someone say that something, an aspect of something is not important when it actually is, right? So let's read this first verse. Daniel 7 and 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down. And you know what? Let's start at 1. Let's start at 1. Let's get a little bit of a context here. Daniel chapter 7 and verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matter. So Daniel had dreams, he was sleeping, and after the dream was had, he wrote it down like many of us do right away. I know if I don't write my dreams down, actually, if I go to get up out of bed to grab a pen, like I'm on the way to forgetting my dreams. You know what I'm saying? It happens that fast sometimes. Verse 2, Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea, and four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion and had an eagle's wing, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. Verse 5, and behold another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. Now, dreams can be allegorical or symbolism, or they can be reality, right? A dream can be reality, or a combination of both, right? Remember that. Verse 6, after this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it four wings of a fowl. The beast had also four heads, and dominion was given to it. After I saw in the night visions, and behold a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth, and this is Slakia, it devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. Now, what that is describing are the civilizations, one taking over another in the order in which they rose out of the sea, right? And the last was the beast that had Salakia, the leopard. So that's representing That is representing Alexander the the so-called great. All right, Alexander, and the 10 horns are the 10 uh, powers that came out of his uh, his campaign. All right. Now, verse 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots, and behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. Now he's seeing who is the Ancient of Days? The Ancient of Days is the Most High. All right. Now in his dream, he's seeing God, whose garment, and listen to what God is wearing, and listen to the description of the Most High. All right. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. Now, let's ask a question here. Whose hair is textured as wool? And is that woolen textured hair a depiction that you commonly see when you see a depiction of the Most High or Christ? Keep that in mind. Ask that question in your head. And the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. Let's read that again. Verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment, again, the Most High is wearing a garment. Many times when you see depictions of the Most High, he's in the sky, he's floating, but he always has long, billowing, stringy hair, right? In the depictions, right? But that's not what this is saying. It is saying that his hair was like wool, and wool, especially when it's a lot of it, that bad boy looks like an afro. The hair is out and fluffy, and think of how a sheep looks, especially one that hasn't been sheared. That hair or that hair, the texture is curly and it's puffy, right? So there's no way his hair was falling and flowing, and he's moving his head like this and the hair is billowing back and forth. Nah, he's moving his head like this and his afro is like just moving with him. You know what I'm saying? Most High in Christ. So think about that. All right. His head like the pure wool. All right. And it was white. Okay. His throne was like the fiery flame. Uh, and his wheels, because he's Most High, is has his apparatus. You know what I'm saying? Like we have our cars, and his wheels as a burning fire. Now let's get another scripture. Revelation 1:13. Let's go to Revelation 1:13. And in the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment. Again, there's a description of what the individual is wearing. Again, man. Salakia. In the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. Now, what are the paps? The paps are your midsection, all right, your belly area, where one would have abs if one had abs. You understand? Let's keep going. Verse 14. Again, no, color's not important. Reverend Run, Pastor Pork Chop. You know what I'm saying? Color's not important. You should forget about color, man. You should worry about all of us coming together and loving God the way we're supposed to love God. And you know what I'm saying? And loving Christ the way we're supposed to love Christ, brother. Okay, let's see what it says. His head, verse 14, his head and his hairs, his head and his hairs, and his hairs were white like wool. Well, that's the color and the texture, isn't it? Just like we read before in Daniel 7 and 9. It described the color and the texture. In Daniel 7 and 9, it talked about the pure wool. That was talking about the Most High. This right here is talking about the Son of Man, which is Christ, who is Christ, right? Salakia. Again, verse 14, his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow. So now it says they were white, right? And one could say, oh, you know, that my beard is white, right? But then it goes even deep in another description, which is more defined, and says that the head and the head and the hairs were white like snow. And his eyes were as a flame of fire. Oh, let's read some more. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. Now, what color is brass? Brass is a golden yellow color. Okay, it actually it depends. Brass could be the color of a brand new penny. Okay, it could be the color of a penny which is old. So, like, we got any pennies on the mantle out there? Oh, I got one right here. Give me a older penny though. A real old one. Oh, the darkest one you can find. Hurry.
It's the only penny that's on the next one.
That's perfect. Perfect. Now look at this. You see that? That's a new penny, right? That's the color of copper, right? This penny is slightly older. Why? How do you know? Because it's darker. You really can't tell on the screen, but this penny is bright and clean and shiny and all that, right? This penny has some what's called burnishing to it. So there are some spots on it that are becoming darker. Okay? Due to oxygen hitting it and the oils of the skin touching it, right? Now look, this penny started out the way both of those other pennies started out. And look at the difference. Look at it against my glasses. Look at the difference. Okay? This penny, bronze is very similar to this. But this is the color of bronze as if burned in a furnace. It becomes a deeper brown, okay? Now I'm going to put it against my skin. And notice how it is, my skin is actually lighter than this color. My skin in particular is lighter. Maybe at my knuckles you can get something because, you know, my knuckles are darker. Okay? Again, look at that. Actually, it blends in. And there are pennies even darker than this. Okay? When the oppressor came to this land, they described the inhabitants of the land as copper complected. The so-called, well, the Americans that were here before the European came. And you can look in an original edition of a Webster dictionary or some Black's law books, where the description of the American or the Americano is copper complected. And when it said that, it's not talking about these new pennies. It's talking about the old penny, which was pure copper, which got dark immediately. Okay, got dark immediately when it was in circulation. And here it is, the Bible, which is so ancient compared to America and the penny, describing Christ as the color of a penny, of a burnished penny, of an older penny, and his feet like unto fine brass. Now, when someone's feet are a color, the rest of the body is going to be the same. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. Now, when you're walking around and you got on sandals and someone can see your feet, and the sun is on them feet all day, okay, that's what's happening there. What was that an oppressor? Was that is that what happens to the oppressor? Or does the oppressor turn the color of a lobster? You know what I'm saying? Or does the oppressor have to go and hide their skin? Because that's what has to happen. But Christ's feet were out, and they could be seen. And what does it say? Let's read it one more time. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, color and texture, and then defined more is the color. Again, it was stark white. And his eyes were as a flame of fire. His eyes were red. Christ drank wine. Verse 15, and his feet like unto fine brass. Fine brass. That means his skin was nice. You know what I'm saying? Fine brass. As if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. And why is it saying that? Because Christ had a commanding voice. He had a voice that could, he didn't have to have a microphone to command many people. Okay, he could be heard. Many waters is loud. If you go to a waterfall, it is loud there. Now let's get some more. Let's get some more. Let's go to Dan. Let's go back to Daniel. Let's go back to Daniel, the book of Daniel, chapter 10 and verse 5. Daniel 10 and 5. Then I lifted up mine eyes and looked and beheld, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz. Again, who's this talking about? Who had a golden girdle on in the last verse? That was the Son of Man, which was Christ. His body also was like the beryl. Now, what is beryl? A beryl is a color, and that is a green color. All right, you can look it up. And his face, as the appearance of lightning, he looked serious, and well, Christ was austere, so he looked very serious, right? And his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms. Now it's describing not only his. Now it added something there. It's talking about his arms and his feet, like in color to polished brass. So his skin was shiny as well, right? And the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. Now that's what it said before. It said many, many waters. Now it's saying multitude. All right. He had a loud voice. So look there. Let's let's break this down one more time because again, you're talking about color. There's description of color like three, 4 times here. And let's get it. Then I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold. That's a color of Euphaz. That's a color. It is a metal, all right? But gold is actual color too. His body also was like the beryl. Beryl is a color. It was like beryl, like the beryl. And the color of the color beryl is green. And his face as the appearance of lightning. It was bright, right? And his eyes as lamps of fire. Fire is yellowish red, isn't it? And his arms and his feet. Again, now it says specifically, like in color. That's specific. That's specifically describing the color of his skin. Color to polished brass. And the voice of his words like the voice of the multitudes, right? And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. All right, let's get some more. Let's get another one. Ezekiel. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 1 and verse 5. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. Now, who is this talking about? Who or what is this talking about? This is talking about the angels. Okay? This is talking about angels. I'm going to read that again and I'm going to keep going. I'm on verse 5. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was like their appearance. They had the likeness, they were like a man, the likeness of a man, right? What is the likeness of a man? If you saw the silhouette of a dog behind something, you could only see the silhouette. You would know to say, oh, that's a dog. You know, if you saw the likeness of or the silhouette of the angel, you would say it was like a man. Okay, just think like that. All right. Also, Salakia, verse 6, and every one that's talking about the 4 creatures, all right, and every one had 4 faces. So now picture that. Each of the creatures out of the 4, each one has 4 faces. And every one of those 4 creatures, living creatures, had 4 wings. Now, that's not the depiction of an angel that we normally see. We normally don't see an angel with 4 faces and 4 wings each. All right? Again, even the angels get lied on. Even the angels have been lied about by the depictions in churches. Not every church, but I haven't seen a black angel because we're going to read about that too. Here we go. And every one had 4 faces, and everyone had 4 wings, and their feet were straight feet. And the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot. A calf's foot is thick, right? A calf's foot it's made with a it's made to be like that, right? There's a space in the middle, right? Salakia. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color. What? They sparkled like the color. There's that word again, of burnished brass. They sparkled. Now imagine this penny shiny. Okay, polish this up. All right, the color of burnished brass. Again, let me put that right against my glass so you can see it. Okay, burnished brass. I used to work in the shoe industry. All right, and I'm gonna tell you something about when you burnish something. When you burnish something, for instance, my this headband is becoming burnished. It's getting dark around the edges here. It's getting very dark, and that's from sweat. That's from the oils of my hand touching it. All right, this is the color it was. Now look at the difference between those two. These are from the same cut of leather. I cut everything out from the same leather. And look how much darker this is. All right, I don't know if you can see that. Look how much darker that is compared to the armbands. I don't wear the armbands as much, but I wear the headband all the time. This is my favorite headband. All right, my favorite crown, Slovakia. And my armbands are the original color of the leather. Now, over time, it's become burnished. It's getting darker and darker from, again, from wear, from oils of my hand, all right, from the sweat of my brow. Everything's getting darker, especially through here, all right. Now, when I used to work in the in the shoe industry, all right, I worked there for many years, about 20 years. People used to bring in their shoes, and I sold higher end shoes, and one of the things that men liked, especially a man who wears a shoe every day, over time, like with metal, it's called a patina. You know, it gets darker naturally over time due to droplets of water, due to the air, again touching the oils from your hand. And let me tell you something. It looks nice when something is burnished. All right. So how do you burnish? You take it, and if you wanna give it an aged look, what you do is you take a little bit of black polish, no matter what the color is. You take some black polish and you put the polish over the toe, or if it's a very light brown shoe, you use a dark brown over the toe of the shoe, over where the laces are, and you want to make it look older than it actually is. And how do you do that? You add a dark color to it, and then you polish it, and you polish it, and you polish it, and you get that dark color to set into the leather and spread out. All right? You want to work that leather with friction to cause it to become shiny and dark. Now, again, what do we read about the color of the angels? All right? Verse 5 again, also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of four living creatures, and there was their appearance, and this was their appearance, Salakia. They had the likeness of a man, and every one had four faces. Now, again, this is not an angel. This angel, I don't know if this angel would scare a brother, man. if you saw, if you had an idea of what an angel was, you would picture like a man with two wings. That's not what's being described here. That's not what we're saying here. Okay? And this was their appearance. They had likeness of men. And every one had four faces, and every one had four wings, and their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, so it was hard. It had a split toe, almost like a ninja's shoe. I don't know if you've seen that before. All right, ninjas wear a shoe which separates the big toe from the rest of the toes. It allows you to put your feet into small spaces, makes it easier to climb, and so on and so forth. Right? And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. Christ's skin was burnished brass as well. And they had the hands of a man under their wings on their four sides. And they had the hands of a man under their wings on their four sides. And they four had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went. They went every one straight forward. So they don't have to turn. So they don't have to turn to go anywhere. They're just straightforward and they move. They move. You understand? They don't have to turn to move like a car. A car has you turn the wheel, and then the car has to come to direction and then go straight. They can just change direction. Boom, boom. All right. Verse 10. As for the likeness of their faces, so the four creatures, had the face of a man, the face of a lion on the right side, right? Had the face of a man and the face of a lion on the right side. And they four had the face of an ox on the left side. They four also had the face of an eagle. Those are the four faces. What are they again? One is a man, one is the face of a man, one is a face of a man, one is a face of a lion, one is a face of an ox, and then the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. Two wings of every one were joined one to another. So they had two wings up and two covered their bodies. So they had two wings up and then two wings covering the body down, right? And they went every one straight forward, whither the Spirit was to go. They went, and they turned not when they went. Again, it's telling you that they didn't have to turn to go anywhere. They could just move that way, move any way they wanted to. And why should they have to turn? You got four faces. You don't have to turn no way. You can see, right? But again, the important part of what I'm reading right now, and again, you're reading something that's very descriptive. We're reading something that's very descriptive. And why doesn't your pastor focus on these things, man? Why does the pastor want you to just skim over some parts of the Bible and read specifically others? If it was to say, let's all join hand in hand and tongue kiss, he would read that. You know what I'm saying? He would read that because he's disgusting. But when it talks about the Most High being a man of war, when it talks about separating from our oppressor, when it talks about the Israelites ruling this planet, you know what I'm saying, in righteousness and the nations going into slavery, he don't want to mention none of that, man. He don't want to mention none of it because that is not what he's paid for. You understand? That's not what he's paid for. He's paid to keep you napping. He's paid to keep you sedated. with happy thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Well, guess what? The happiest thought is rulership. That's a happy thought for me. You know what I'm saying? You can have joining hands around the world because I don't want that. I want to join hands with my brothers and my sisters who are of my people, the Israelites, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. I want to join hands with them, and I want to rule over everybody else. You understand? With Christ as my was as our king. Salakia. Let's get some more. Let's get Jeremiah 14:2. Let's see if there's some more description of color in the Bible. We just read how the angels, how the Bible is describing their faces, their wings, how they're attached, to covering the body, to up in the to up, describing the feet, having being straight, having the soul of a calf, describing what Christ is wearing, two descriptions of Christ, both wearing a garment down to the foot. In one description, another description is saying the color of the garment and what the garment's made of. Linen. A linen color garment down to the foot. The color of green, the color of beryl, describing not only the color of his feet, but then the color of his hands and feet, the color of his hair, the texture of his hair, like wool, the Most High, the color of his garment, his clothing, the color of his hair, the texture of his hair, like the pure wool. You understand? Come on now. Jeremiah, let's go 14:2. Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground. Now, what color is the ground? Anywhere you go, what color is the ground? Not the floor, but the ground. The ground would be outside, right? You dig up that grass, what color is underneath the grass? They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. They are black unto the ground. They are black like the ground. Now, the ground has different colors, but what is the base of the color? The base color is brown. You have different shades of brown. Black unto the ground. Now, there is black soil. There's soil so rich that it's black. There is clay, which is a reddish brown, right? There's a sandy silt type of dirt, which is a lighter brown. You have all the shades of the Israelites right there. We come in so many shades and colors. All right, let's get some more. The Song of Solomon 1 and 5. Songs of Solomon 1 and 5. It gets right to the point, doesn't it? I am black, but comely. O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the tents of Kedar. Now, I'm going to show you what the tents of Kedar look like. Because some people would say black would be his countenance, right? His feeling is dark, right? But I am black and comely as the tents of Kedar. Let's see what the tents of Kedar look like. Bear with me. Tents of Kedar. Let's get that. Let's get that. Tents of Kedar. That's spelled tense right. Tents of Kedar. Let's go to images. Uh-oh. Oh, man. Hold on. Can we see that? That is a tent of Kedar in the desert. Let's get some more. Can you see that? Tent of Kedar. Slovakia, let me get this one. Can you see that? Those are the tents of Kedar. Those tents are all black or very, very dark brown. Okay? Tents of Kedar. Okay? So that's describing color. He's even saying it's like something. It's like the color of these things, which are known to be black. Let's get another one. Let's get some unrefuted stuff. Oh, Slovakia. They changed the format of some of these things. Okay, there we go. Tents of Kedar. What color are those? Black. Let's go back to the scripture. Let's go back to the scripture. I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem. That's the audience talking to the ladies. You understand? As the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. Uh-oh. Let's see what the curtains of Solomon look like. Just type it in the Google machine, as General Muhammad says. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to type it in the Google machine. Let's see what it say. Curtains, Curtains, of Solomon. Solomon. And we'll pull up images. Now we have to be careful because, of course, they mix in. I'm seeing rainbow colors of things. But let's go to an older image. Let's go to an older image. And how would we know we have the right image? Okay, that's a question. Listen, and how are we going to know that we have the right image? We'll know because the curtain will be like the tent of Kedar, right? That's how we'll know. So we're not going to look for a white curtain. No, we're not going to look for a white curtain because that would not be correct. we would look for a black curtain because the tents of Kedar were black. He used the term black, so we would look for that as being accurate, right? And again, I'm only doing the research, which anyone can do. And it's so easy nowadays not to be lazy. All you got to do is move your fingers. It's very easy. Now, in that one, we did not find much because again, it's a vast coloration of bright colors. What's this? Let's keep reading for now. Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun hath looked upon me. What happens when, oh my gosh, what happens when the sun, now, now I am a shade of brown, right? I am a lighter shade of brown on the parts of my body that do not see sun. So my chest, my back, you know what I'm saying? They don't see sun because I don't go shirtless, right? But what happens during the summer? My face becomes darker. My skin actually becomes more shiny as well, right? My hands, my arms, because I'm driving, the arm that, especially the arm that's out. I mean, you probably can't tell. This arm is darker than this arm. Actually, you can't tell. You can tell big time. This arm is definitely darker than this arm. This is the arm that sits outside when I drive. I put it on up here, the sun just beats down on it. You know what I'm saying? Listen to what's being said. Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun hath looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards. Where are the vineyards? Outside in the sun. But mine own vineyard have I not kept. They made me grow grapes and keep their things, but I didn't get to keep my own, man. They had me out there doing their work. Tell me, O thou, whom my soul loveth, where thou feedest, where thou makest thy flock to rest at noon. For why should I be as one that turneth aside by the flocks of thy companions? If thou know not, O thou fairest among women, go thy way forth by the footsteps of the flock, and feed thy kids beside the shepherd's tents. I have compared thee, O my love, to a company of horses in Pharaoh's chariots. Now, again, that's very descriptive, describing color, describing uh, his skin being touched by the sun, being darkened by the sun, talking about comparing the color of his skin to something that back then everyone would have known what the tents of Kedar are, and they would have known they're black. I couldn't find a accurate picture of the curtains of Solomon, but those are also black. Curtains of Solomon are also black. Okay, let's get Job 30 and 30. Two more scriptures. Job 30 and 30. The book of Job, chapter 30 and verse 30. My skin, this is Job talking, my skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat. My skin? Now let's go up a little bit. Let's read. Because Job is talking about many things. Verse 25, did I not weep for him that was in trouble? Was not my soul grieved for the poor? When I looked for good, then evil came unto me. And when I waited for light, there came darkness. My bowels boiled and rested not. Now that means he's, for lack of a better word, shitting. Okay? My bowels boiled. So when your stomach is gurgling and okay, and rested not, the days of affliction prevented me. I went mourning. I went mourning without the sun. I stood up and I cried in the congregation. I am brother to dragons and companion to owls. You know what I'm saying? He's up. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat. My heart also is turned to mourning, and my organ into the voice of them that weep. It's describing many things, one of which is his skin being black upon him. All right? Let's go to Acts 13. Acts, the book of Acts. Acts chapter 13 and verse 1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, and Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger, and Lucius of Cyrene, and Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch, and Saul. Now, what is Niger? Let's check and see. Let's go into the Google machine. Just type in Niger. Salaki, bear with me. Let me type in etymology of Niger. Niger, African nation named for the river Niger, mentioned by that name 1520s Leo Africanus, probably an alteration by influence of Latin Niger, which means black. Okay. Slovakia. And they even go so far as to say a surname or the epithet of Simon at Antioch. Simeon Niger, Paul, Barnabas, Manaen. calling them black. And how do we know that that's what it means? Let's keep going. Niger or nigger or neger, Niger, Nigger, Neger, 1786, 1568 for neger, Neger, and Northern England dialect, negar, Negar, Negur from the French Negre, and from Spanish Negro, see Negro. From the earliest usage, it was the term that carries with it all the obloquy or oblique. I want to say oblique, but it says obloquy, and contempt and rejection which whites have inflicted on blacks. The history of the word Niger is often traced to the Latin word, nigger is often traced to the Latin word niger, meaning black. This word became the noun negro, black person in English, and simply the color black in Spanish and Portuguese. In early modern French, Niger, Niger became nègre, Negre, and later négresse, black woman, was unmistakably a part of language history. The Romans had a name for blacks. It was Niger, and it meant black or people of, well, now it says African origins, but we know what that means. Thus, Septimus Niger would have meant Septimus the Negro. Yet, now did the Romans connect the word Niger to black in ancient times. Blacks were worshipped as gods. Oh, hello. We're going to end it there. All right? We're going to end it there. Most High in Christ. Most High in Christ. I am Priest and Officer Gabar Amath, ISUPK Connecticut, where ISUPK started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. Since 1969, we've been teaching the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians their true culture and heritage, as it is in the Bible, that we are God's chosen people, the Israelites, and our oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of, which means deceiver. Until next class, Shalom, Israel.